I've had loads of requests to do a video on how to make pastry. It's so easy, so why not? Let's do it. Pastry is just about a ratio. Well, straightforward short crust pastry is. And that ratio is 1 part fat to 2 parts flour. I always use butter. I don't know, I'm a little bit conflicted on that one. Largely vegan, but when it comes to pastry and puddings, I just don't feel the alternatives are very good. So I think the answer, perhaps, is to have fewer puddings and pastry, but when you do have them, to use proper ingredients. And I always use organic. Cows in the organic system are treated so much better, and so is the soil that they, the land they walk on, the soil that they improve. So I'm going to do, let's just see however much butter we've got. That's 85. I think I'm going to do 100 grams of butter just because it's an easy multiple. 92. There we are, that's 100. And did you see it? Just broke it up into reasonably small pieces. But when you read a recipe about pastry, you can think it's really complicated. They talk about ice cold water and chilled butter. It's complete nonsense, you don't need it, okay? They also talk about cold hands. Well, I have got really cold hands. There's got to be something good about that. But it's really not as complicated as they make out. So I've got my 100 grams of butter, and I'll reset the scale to 0, although I can add to 200. And I'm going to put in 200 grams of flour. And again, it's plain flour and it's organic. The difference between plain flour and strong flour is the gluten content, and it's not the end of the world. So if all you've got in your cupboard is strong flour because you're a bread maker, then oh, I put too much in there. Then don't worry about it, just use it. I've used it loads of times and it barely makes any difference at all. It might be ever so slightly tough. Sorry, I overdid it because I was talking. That's fairly typical. Okay. Yeah, I really overdid it. So now you've got your 1 to 2 ratio of your fat to flour, and for a really good crisp pastry I would add in just a little bit of icing sugar, and that applies even if you're making a savoury quiche, something like that. So I'm just going to chuck a bit in. Doesn't matter that it's lumpy, you're going to break it up with your fingers anyway. So that was about a tablespoonful, and always a bit of salt. And now you'll be thankful that it's not stone cold butter, because you just rub it together. I don't know if you can see the motion of this. You're rubbing it through your fingers. Now, when my children do it, they squidge it, they do this, and that is not what you're looking for. It's rubbing it, sort of sending it through as if your fingers are a roller. And it keeps on going. This is why I can never understand why people say, oh no, I can't make pastry, This is all going to be all over and done with within about 3 minutes. So already it's coming into breadcrumbs. Don't know if you can see that. When they say breadcrumbs, obviously that just means the consistency of breadcrumbs. Nearly there now. Just the odd big one. It's worth saying you can do this in a food processor, which is very quick. You've just got to wash up your food processor, that's all. But if you're doing large quantities, or your butter is really cold, food processor's great. You mustn't overdo it though. With your hands it's hard to go too far, but with a food processor you can go over the top and end up with a sort of paste, which is not what you want. Okay, there we go. I didn't time it, but that was pretty damn quick, wasn't it? There you go. Easy as pie. Right, so at that stage, breadcrumb stage, you just want to add a bit of water. Cold water, not hot, but again, it doesn't have to be iced. What a waste of time. Just stick a bit in, and the trick is to do it gradually. You can always add water, but you can't take it out. keep doing the same motion and you'll start to feel it coming together. If you do it in a food processor, it'll start to go into big lumps, and that's fine. Nearly there now. Starts to stick to your fingers a bit as well. One more dribble. This is where it would be so useful to have a third hand. That's probably going to be enough there. Yeah, it's starting to get sticky. I'm going to just pull it all together. And that should start to stick into a ball. Now I need the tiniest dribble of water. Oops. There we are. Yep, there we are, we're done. And so you have a lovely ball of short crust pastry. Easy peasy. How about that? Now, I don't tend to chill it before I roll it out. I usually roll it out at this point here, and then I do chill it. So you want to put it into your chosen tin and pop it into the fridge. And then if you bake it straight from the fridge at about 180, 185 degrees, depending on your oven, it shouldn't shrink. If you want to bake it straight away because you're in a hurry, that's not a problem, but I would recommend that you use baking beans. Okay, so you've got your ball of pastry, and this is where I now put some goodness in. I've got children and I'm always trying to sneak it in. And so I tend to roll it out on brown flour. Small victories, huh? And so put plenty down, flatten your ball a little bit of flour on top, and a little bit on your rolling pin. And you want it to roll with quite a soft touch. If you press too hard, it just sticks. That's counterproductive. I don't really rate those rolling pins where you hold on and it rolls separate to you. I feel like you can't feel it as well. So try to be even and roll as thinly as you can. Nobody wants a vast bit of pastry. It's all about the filling. So I really roll mine thinly. I'm very lucky, I've got a stone worktop which does make it easy. Nice and cool, and it doesn't stick. Nearly there. See, there's a fair bit of wheat bran in there. Okay, that is really nice and wafer thin. Take your tart tin. I really favour these ones with a loose bottom. I think they're made of aluminium, but you get a lovely crisp bottom, and I would steer clear of ceramic or Pyrex. Doesn't seem to do the job very well. Okay, drape it loosely over the top, making sure you're not stretching it over the side. Wherever you stretch, it will shrink back in the oven. So it's a false economy to do that. So you want to make sure it's right up to the sides, not feeling stretched. That's why you always want to make slightly more pastry than you think you need. Okay, and it's got a nice flat bottom, and then this is my favourite bit. My children like this too. You just take your rolling pin, roll over the top, and that gives you a beautiful clean edge, and there you go. Got a lovely tart there. And at this stage, just prick it all over. Even if you've got a runny filling, it won't run out of here. This is just to stop it poofing up in the oven, because obviously if it poofs up, it's not going to hold its filling very well. And so at that stage, just pop it in the fridge. Minimum half an hour, ideally an hour or two. So it's something to be doing, you know, while you've got other jobs to get on with. Do it, go off, do something else, and then think, oh, I'll bake off that pastry. I'll show you some fillings another time.